The Simpsons predictions for today. In 2017, The Simpsons did something that no one saw coming. It was the episode called The Day the Earth Stood Still, and this is the part where Lisa becomes the new leader. Springfield, after all of the adults mysteriously go missing. Lisa creates a committee to run the town, but she's frustrated by how slow they are at making decisions. She throws them all out and declares herself the dictator. She then goes on TV and tells everyone to be outside in their underwear at noon, so that she can count them. As the kids are waiting around for this event, Principal Skinner shows up and announces that the adults have come back. It turns out that they had been abducted by aliens who needed their DNA to help repopulate their dying planet. While it's not exactly the most canon-accurate prediction, there's still a very interesting thing about this episode. It's the fact that Springfield seemed to function just fine without its adult population. You see, even though the town was a little slower when it came to big decisions, things like keeping the power on and water running didn't seem to be affected. Maybe it's because most of Springfield's infrastructure is automated. Or maybe the writers were just trying to make a point. But it's weird how well a group of 10-year-olds could keep everything going in this town. A lot of people might think that a group of 10-year-olds wouldn't be able to do much of anything. But in some places around the world, children this age are left on their own for weeks at a time. In these places, kids are forced to take care of themselves and fend off starvation. They're also typically too afraid to call authorities or reach out for help in any way. Unfortunately, this is the reality of life for many children, and if you want to change that, you can visit the website below. Now let's get back to The Simpsons. Number 8. Smartwatches aren't a new idea, but they haven't really taken off until recently. I mean, who doesn't have an Apple Watch these days? Even some dogs have them. But smartwatches weren't always this popular. At one point it seemed like every single person would wear a regular watch on their wrist, whether it was an analog watch with hands or a digital watch. These were just two separate options that people used to choose from. But now everyone has a smartwatch which does basically everything except make phone calls. But believe it or not, smartwatches have actually been around longer than you think. In Season 4, Episode 13 of The Simpsons, we see Principal Skinner wearing a strange-looking device on his wrist. While he's jogging, he's also seen using it during class and seemingly checking his calendar on the device. This was an episode that aired in 1992, and the device that he was clearly wearing was Of course, this wasn't a real smartwatch, but simply a prop that the crew made to look like a high-tech device. But it's still amazing how accurately they predicted the invention of smartwatches. It was almost like they knew the future. Number 7. Disney buying 20th Century Fox. On March 21, 2019, Disney announced that they had officially purchased most of 21st Century Fox for a whopping $71.3 billion. This deal allowed Disney to acquire several different studios, including Fox Searchlight Pictures, Fox 2000 Pictures, Fox Family, and 20th Century Fox. This purchase also gave Disney full ownership of the X-Men, Avatar, Deadpool, and Simpsons franchises. Not only that, but Disney gained several other properties that Fox owned, including Planet of the Apes, Aliens, Home Alone, Die Hard, and many more. This acquisition was actually first mentioned in a Simpsons episode that aired in 1998. In the episode called The Springfield Files, Homer works at a power plant that's being taken over by a mega corporation. When Homer tours the headquarters of the mega corporation, we see a sign that reads Disney. And in another scene, we see that the company's mascot is a bear dressed in a suit similar to the one that Mickey Mouse wears. So everyone thought that this episode predicted the Disney-Fox merger perfectly. But it turned out that the writers simply predicted a small part of it. While the episode does show a Disney-owned company buying out Springfield nuclear power plant, it doesn't mention anything about Disney purchasing Fox. So, the writers didn't predict the entire merger, but they did predict the part where Disney bought out 20th Century Fox. No. 6 auto, correct. When iPhones and iPads first came out, they were extremely buggy. Sometimes apps would randomly stop working, and sometimes text typed by the user would disappear. There were even issues where the touchscreen would register inputs in places where users didn't want them to. Since then, Apple has fixed all these bugs and created software that's far more reliable than it once was. But there was one major bug that users actually liked, and it was autocorrect. Autocorrect would change certain words to other words that the device thought made more sense. For example, if someone typed the word banana, the device might change it to bunny, or if someone was trying to type in a swear word, it would often be corrected to something completely unrelated. It got so bad that websites began popping up, which allowed users to disable autocorrect while typing in passwords. But eventually, autocorrect became less of a nuisance and more of a quirky tool. We're all used to it now, but it wasn't always this way. Autocorrect first appeared on the iPhone in 2007, and the first Simpsons prediction of autocorrect appeared in 2000. In the episode called Trilogy of Error, Homer is seen writing something on a computer, and the word marry is changed to marry. Now, some people might say that this isn't a prediction because autocorrect existed before iPhone, but that's not quite true. Autocorrect did exist before iPhones, but it wasn't nearly as common, and it definitely wasn't built into devices. Number 5, the Oscars. The Oscars is one of the biggest award shows in the world, and it is one of the most anticipated events of the year. Almost everyone who loves movies tunes in to watch the ceremony, and everyone has an opinion about who should win. But what most people do not realize is that the Academy Awards didn't start out as a huge deal. In the early years, the awards ceremony was much shorter and only a few people watched. But as time went on, the event grew and grew until it was a 3-hour extravaganza. Back in the 1990s, it was thought that the Oscars would never become bigger than they already were. But fast forward to today and people are still glued to their TVs every February. In the Simpsons episode called The Springfield Files, Principal Skinner is watching the Oscars and cheering whenever a film associated with Springfield wins an award. There's a shot of the TV showing various films that were nominated that year, including Fargo, The English Patient, and Secrets and Lies. This episode aired in 1997, 5 years before Titanic won the award for Best Picture. And some people say that this is evidence that the writers predicted the success of Titanic. However, the writers simply used stocked footage from the actual Oscars, meaning they didn't predict the Best Picture winner. Number 4. Blue whales. Blue whales are the largest animals that have ever lived on planet Earth. There have been fossils found of blue whales that were larger than the ones we have today, but those are extinct. Modern blue whales can grow up to 100 feet long and weigh over 200 tons. Just the tongue of a blue whale weighs as much as an elephant, and the amount of food they eat each day would probably feed 100 average-sized humans. But for a long time, blue whales were hunted and harvested for their oil and meat. Since they were so large, it didn't take many hunters to kill a blue whale, and since they were filled with oil, it didn't take many blue whales to supply an entire city with oil. But eventually blue whales became endangered and hunting them became illegal. Today, there are fewer than 10,000 blue whales left in the ocean, and most sightings are rare. In 1990, The Simpsons did something truly remarkable. They showed a blue whale migrating past Springfield, and even though no one realized it at the time, this was an accurate prediction of a discovery that was about to be made. For decades, scientists believed that blue whales traveled down to Antarctica each year to feed on krill. But in 1992, researchers tagged a blue whale and discovered that it was traveling to Indonesia. This discovery prompted an investigation of other blue whales, and eventually scientists figured out that there were 2 separate populations of blue whales. One population migrated to Indonesia and the other population migrated to Antarctica. If you buy ground beef at the grocery store, it's highly likely that there's some horse meat mixed in with the beef. Horse meat is often sold in the United States, but it's typically labeled as exotic meat or something similar. And this is due to the fact that most people don't eat horse meat regularly. Some people consider eating horse meat to be taboo, similar to the way that some people feel about eating dog meat. But the truth is that horse meat has been consumed by humans for thousands of years. In 2013, the European Union had a horse meat scandal. Thousands of frozen burgers that were supposed to be made of beef contained over 60% horse meat. This led to panic across Europe as consumers worried about mad cow disease. But as it turned out, the burgers weren't mislabeled. The stores had just switched the meat around as a cost-cutting measure. In 2009, The Simpsons predicted this exact situation. In the episode called Italian Bob, a man named Bob visits a grocery store and tries to buy some horse meat. When the cashier asks him why he wants to buy horse meat, Bob says that he was saving money. And later on in the episode, it's revealed that Bob was serving the horse meat to customers at his restaurant. Number 2, we talked about autocorrect earlier, but we need to talk about predictive text. Predictive text is a feature that can be found on almost every smartphone, and it helps the user type by predicting the next word, the LL type. If the user types ha, the device will automatically finish the word hello for them. And if the user types SMD, device will try to finish the word smile. This technology has been around for a while, but it didn't become popular until smartphones were released. In fact, smartphones were created partially to allow users to access the internet and send text messages. And when texting first started to become popular, It was extremely slow. People would have to type out each letter one at a time, and it would take forever to send a simple message. Eventually, predictive text helped people send messages at a faster rate, and the QWERTY keyboard was replaced with the ABC keyboard. The Simpsons predictive text back in 2001. In the episode called New Kids on the Block, Lisa uses a futuristic phone to text message, and the words she types appear on the screen above her. Self-driving cars. Self-driving cars are finally beginning to hit the market, but they've been around for much longer than you might think. Waymo, which is Google's self-driving car project, began testing vehicles in 2009, and the first public test was in 2010. A man in Florida was the first person to be charged for causing a car accident with a self-driving car, and that happened in 2018. But The Simpsons predicted self-driving cars in 1995. In the episode called Marge in Charge, Principal Skinner is driving a car that's completely controlled by a computer. Instead of steering wheels, there are joysticks and buttons. And instead of pedals, there are levers and switches. The car is even equipped with cameras that allow it to see in all directions. Thanks for watching. What do you think of these Simpsons predictions? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.